am Del Pilar, and this is Points on the Board, and I'm here with my co-host, Eddie Aparicio. Let me knock out some must-dos here. Where you can watch this podcast, as well as our other podcasts, is at sportsgrumblings.com, which will become grumblingsmedia.com. If you want to watch us, see our handsome, rugged faces here, check us out on YouTube and Rumble under the moniker Grumblings Media. You can listen to us at the traditional podcast sites, Apple, Google, Spotify, and Pandora. Eddie, I guess you're excited.
I am excited.
This is the NBA. How
this is my favorite time of the year, man. It's the most wonderful time of the year because you have NBA starting up. You have the NFL kind of halfway through the season. Then you have the baseball playoffs that are going on right now. It's like a heaven for a sports fan right now at this time in October and November. So I am happy.
Do you check many games out? Many Warrior games or who's? They don't.
I don't miss a Warrior game. I'll tell you that right now. I am as diehard as
in person.
Oh no, I go to them every now and then, but my neighbor has tickets, season tickets, and he sells them to me if I want to go. I prefer watching it on TV. I mean, I like going to the games, but I like watching at the comfort of my own home, and I rewind when I see good plays and stuff. So I enjoy watching it at home, and I'm a big NBA fan. Not only do I watch the Warriors, I have NFL season, NBA season pass. And I watch every game as much as I can because I love watching the players. And, of course, I'm a big FanDuel player for NBA, or I should say DFS player, Daily Fantasy Sports player. So I need to see who are the key players to put in my lineup. So this is my favorite time of the year. Guillermo, big time. NBA is my thing.
It's funny you say that because that's why we have the blackout rule in football. They fear people were more comfortable in front of the booth tube. Now, even more so, watching Red Zone or watching Game Day.
Yeah.
And that's why they have blackouts. I think eventually, sports is going through a transformation, Eddie, because of cable. So, for example, ESPN made $9 a person on cable. Whether you wanted ESPN or not, you're paying $9 of your cable bill with the ESPN.
Oh, no kidding. Huh.
Oh yeah, they've lost half. They've lost 100 million. They're down to 50 million. This is what the leagues count on. They count on ESPN jacking the price up, forcing other networks to pay billions. But with everybody going to streaming, the world of sports is in for truly controversial decision-making and what to do next because players aren't going to go, I'm not going to accept less, but they're not going to have a choice. If everybody's streaming and ESPN isn't getting $9 million or $9 per pop, that's going to drive the price of everything now. So all these leagues, college, they're leaving the Pac-10 to go join here, to go join there.
Yes.
All that's going to be affected. Sports is going to be in a world of hurt within the next 5 to 10 years. And that's going to benefit us, the individual, but you're not going to see these multi-billion-dollar TV contracts, which will trickle down to where the quarterbacks aren't going to see $260 million.
Right. Guaranteed, right.
Yeah.
Like Deshaun Watson,
or the
right.
NBA and baseball and things like that. Yeah.
Right.
So let's get to it then, my friend.
Sure, absolutely.
Let's break it's the NBA season will actually be open by the time this podcast releases. So we're doing a little bit of a preview. Eddie's the expert here. I plan on asking him some questions in regards to a preview of the season. And Eddie, let's start it out with who are your conference favorites? Let's start with the East since we go from East to West.
So I think the conference in the East is going to be very competitive, honestly, amongst the two teams. And I'm ranking these in order, right? So the top 8 teams by order in the Eastern Conference are number 1, I have the Boston Celtics. I think it is theirs to beat. No one's going to beat them unless they get injured because they're not a very deep team, but they have superstar talent at 4 positions and good coming off the bench players as well. But nobody beats that starting 4. Nobody. I mean, these guys are, 3 of them are all NBA players, and no other team can claim that, honestly. So I think Boston's number 1. The Milwaukee Bucks are number 2. They just extended Giannis Antetokounmpo today at 3 years, $186 million, if I remember correctly. It's a huge contract. The Bucks know what they have in him. He's the best player in the NBA by far from an offense and defense perspective, a two-way player. He's the best all-around player. There are arguments to be made that Nikola Jokic is better than him from an offensive standpoint. I say yes, but all around, I say no. Giannis is number one. So Boston number one, Bucks number two, the 76ers at number three. And I was kind of teetering them whether I had to put them at number three or not, because, James Harden is kind of creating a big fog there. He's creating a big issue with he wants to get traded, but he's bringing down the team. Honestly, I think he's forcing a trade, and hopefully that happens. But and bring somebody of a good caliber to help out Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris. Go ahead.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. We had this conversation last week about James Harden. I think he's a slug. He's a slug because he's not the James Harden he was 3 years ago, much less 5 or 10 years ago. And I truly believe he's a cancer. So I would ask you, not looking at what team needs him, but what general manager who doesn't care about the locker room and the energy and the negativity he'll win, who thinks, hey, if I can just get him here, he can help us over to the championship this year, and then we can do whatever we need to do with him next year. What general manager is willing to sacrifice his team to bring a cancer over? Because that's honestly how I view Hardy. I mean, look what he did in Brooklyn, and now look what he's done in Philadelphia. And look what he did to get out before that. So why would anybody want that cancer on their team?
I don't think any GM that's trying to compete for a championship would want him on the team right now, just because of the history that he has. But an up and coming team would definitely probably take a chance on him. A team that's already on the cusp to possibly get into the playoffs. And once they're in the playoffs, they're a very dangerous team. I would put, someone like the Houston Rockets as one. He's played with the Houston Rockets. I think they're a good young and up and coming team. They have some vets on their team. I think another veteran like a James Harden to pair up with the Fred VanVleet as well as the Dylan Brooks would help that young squad round out, because they have some good talent there. Oklahoma City Thunder would be another one that potentially could. But as far as like guys that are competing for a championship, I don't say any of these. No GMs are going to touch that, because they don't want to break up their nucleus. And this guy, there's a risk in bringing a guy that has a history of this over to a championship caliber team. So I don't think a championship caliber team will take him on.
Yeah, I agree. And even I'm not even buying everything you're selling there in the sense an up and coming team. As a head coach, general manager, and or business or owner of the team, either one of those three, my first question would be, whoa, hold on. This is an up and coming team. Why the bleep do we want to bring a cancer to an up-and-coming team, and he creates a bad influence? Now, we're all parents. You're a parent. How many times have you looked at that guy that your daughter's hanging out with, or girl, or whatever, and go, yeah, that's not a good person there, baby girl. You need to step aside. Because that's how I see James Harden. I see James Harden as Little Johnny or Eddie Haskell. Take your pick, old order, and Little Johnny is every generation. That's how I see it, man. And I guess I just get angry because to have that God-given talent and to be the a-hole he is and to have all the riches, it's like, see, because I view elitism, doesn't matter if you're a rich white guy or a rich black guy or whatever. It's like, you've been blessed. You've been blessed. And you've chosen to live a negative life. And I'm not talking about his actions like partying, things like that. I'm talking about how he treats his fellow man, how he talks about his fellow man, how he views others. And I guess maybe I have a hair up my tush because of that, but I don't like him, man. But that said, I don't think I'm wrong in my statement that what team would want him.
No, but he's still talented, and I think his best fit is Joel Embiid in the Sixers. But he doesn't like Daryl Morey, and he just wants out. And I think there's a trust issue between Daryl Morey and Harden from Harden's perspective, and he just wants out. So you asked me the question of teams that I think that would want him. Oklahoma City Thunder, I think, would utilize him. I think also the Houston Rockets is somebody that would utilize him. But would Harden go to those teams? Don't know. But I'm just telling you, those are the guys that I think that it would make sense where the GMs would probably make that move.
I think what happens, Eddie, he's stuck in Philly. I think as the playoff race starts to shape and you get that young and upcoming team, say Memphis Grizzlies, I wouldn't really – they're still –
I don't know about –
No, I'm just using them as an example. I don't know. This is your domain. But what I'm saying is, let's say they're on the cusp of actually being able to get in and make an impact. That's when a GM gets shaky, and for good reason. Man, look at that guy's still talented. I mean, so I think the dilemma won't happen until these teams start seeing how they're going to fare this season and the closer we get. He's one of these potential trading deadline guys. So, and I apologize, we kind of digressed there. So you're saying Boston,
Milwaukee, Sixers,
Philadelphia, and then give me one more.
Number 4, I have Cleveland Cavaliers. I think they're an up-and-coming team. They have a good nucleus, good young core, a couple center footers that are just, game-changing center footers in their starting lineup. I think that, that Donovan Mitchell paired up with Darius Garland. I think that team is legit, along with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. They have some good role players on that team. I think that team's an up-and-coming team, and I think they're going to compete for the home court advantage. So that's why I have them at number 4. Number 5, I had
No, I was just going to say, I didn't know how deep you were going to go. I apologize.
I'm going 8. You give me the top 8. I'm going to go 8 in each conference, and then I'll give you some bubble teams that could be 9 or 10, but I'm going to give you the top 8 with 9 and 10 for each conference. So at number 4, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers. Number 5, I have the Miami Heat. And then number 6, I have Indiana. And then in the play-in tournament, I have New York Knicks and the Chicago Bulls. With the teams on the edge or the bubble would be the Atlanta Hawks and the Toronto Raptors. So that's my Eastern Conference.
When was the last time the Knicks were in the playoffs?
They were in the playoffs last year.
Were they? Okay. I mean,
yeah, the year before that. Yeah.
I guess my real question, is when's the last time they've been relevant? The only reason I ask is I haven't heard the Knicks being talked along with the Warriors, the Bucks, the Celtics in years.
They've been a playoff team the last couple of years. I mean, Tom Thibodeau is their coach. So
and they got that Brunson kid last year.
Yeah, Jalen Brunson. Yep, they have Jalen Brunson. They have R.J. Barrett. They have Julius Randle. They brought over Dante DiVincenzo. They have a few other players on that team, but that team, they're a defensive-oriented team. They need more shooting. That's why they brought Dante DiVincenzo to help out on that regard. But I think they're a playoff team. They've been proven they're a playoff team in the last couple of years. So after the Bulls at number 8, like I said, I have the Atlanta Hawks and then the Toronto Raptors. So that wraps up my the playoff bracket for the Eastern Conference. In the Western Conference, you have to put Denver Nuggets at number 1. Denver Nuggets, they're the defending champs, arguably have the best player in the NBA in Nikola Jokic. They have Jamal Murray, who is a rising superstar from the point guard position. And then they have Michael Porter, if he stays healthy. Essentially, they're calling him Klay Thompson, a poor man's Klay Thompson, who can shoot a little bit taller than Klay Thompson because he's 6'10". Klay Thompson's 6'7". He's got good leaping ability. And, but the thing is, they lost Bruce Brown, to the Indiana Pacers. And, they also lost Jeff Green, but they have this Christian Braun, I think, who's an emerging talent that he's going to help keep them on the top. So I think the Denver Nuggets are number 1. Number 2, I have the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix Suns are number 2.
Wow.
I think that the moves that they made in the offseason to bring Bradley Beal over, along with Yusuf Nurkic. They also have Grayson Allen and a bunch of ancillary players like, let's see who they have. They have, what's his name? Yuta Watanabe. They have, I just lost all the players that I had. Oh, sorry. I'm thinking of some other team. Anyway, so that's it. I just lost myself, man. Where am I?
Y'all have to forgive Eddie. I think he's got some relatives crossing the border right now.
Yeah. No. Phoenix Suns. So that's what I was thinking about. They have a bunch of defensive guys on their team. That they brought over to help supplement that team. So Denver Nuggets, Phoenix Suns are the top 2. Number 3, I have the Los Angeles Lakers. Los Angeles Lakers, I said, are the deepest team in the NBA. They have guys like Christian Wood, Taurean Prince, Gabe Vincent, who brought over Jackson Hayes, Cam Reddish. I mean, they have a deep team, and they're the team to me that are, in my opinion, are going to pretty much, probably be in the end. And I'll give you my top 4.
I mean, they made it last year to the end.
Yeah, out of the play-in tournament.
Yeah, exactly.
At the play-in tournament, yes. So I have the Lakers at number 3. Number 4, I have the Golden State Warriors. At number 5, I have the Sacramento Kings. At number 6, I have Yes,
The
at number 6.
Sacramento King. I mean,
Yes.
not being that, to me, they're even worse off than the Knicks. All I ever remember about Sacramento: terrible coaching, terrible stadium.
No, they pushed the Warriors to the brink last year. They took the Warriors to a game.
Outstanding.
Yeah, so and they were ranked higher. They were the number 3 team in the conference last year. So the Sacramento Kings, are a legitimate team. So they have a really good point guard in De'Aaron Fox. You have Domantas Sabonis. You have Keegan Murray, who's an emerging talent. So that team is there in the top 5 right now. At number 6, I have the Memphis Grizzlies. I think losing Ja Morant for about 25 games, I think that's going to hinder them a little bit. And then we just found out that Steven Adams actually is out for the season with another knee injury. So I think that is going to hurt them. Although they have learned how to play without him last year, but he's a big defensive presence. He makes that team, tough because he's just a tough, rugged guy. So it's going to be on Jaren Jackson's shoulders to carry the load on the center side. So after Memphis, I have the Los Angeles Clippers at number 7. At number 8, which was also the team last year, I think they were a play-in team, the Minnesota Timberwolves. These teams that are in the 7 and 8 spot are actually the play-in teams. So I have them in the play-in tournament as well. And the teams on the outside, possibly looking in, are the 2 young teams that have these up-and-coming 7-foot players in Chet Holmgren and the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then I have also Victor Wembanyama, San Antonio Spurs. They just beat the Warriors in the last preseason game, and the Warriors played their starters. San Antonio came out and played, and they played well. So that team has got some talent, and and they have a great coach. So I think they're going to surprise some teams out there, and that's why I have them as a bubble team.
I agree, and good and well, I loathe Popovich, but I will take him over any coach in that NBA league today. Because Pat Riley's not coaching anymore; he's the president, right? So
right.
Yeah, and there are other quality coaches out there, people. But Popovich has a track record, the mental toughness to challenge the top players in the league, and just to overall just kick some ass. So yeah, I can see that. Where did you have the Spurs ranked?
So I had the Spurs outside of the top 8, so they would be a team.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, so I had them at number 10 right now. It just remains to be seen. They're a young team. This guy Wembanyama is a force. We will see how the teams defend this guy. I mean, right now he's kind of unguardable if he's able to shoot over people at the perimeter and be consistent. They have other guys. They have the Devin Vassell. They have Keldon Johnson. They have Zach Collins. They just have a pretty good young little team there. Charles Bassey is in their center, so they have good players. So it's going to be interesting. They could be pushing Minnesota for the top 8. So
let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this one quick story. So I stopped watching. I still read basketball and all that, but it's not my favorite sport. But I still stay on it because of the job. But I stopped watching it. The Portland and the Lakers played in the 90s, back-to-back seasons. I think in the championship or in the finals to get to the championship, I think they were back-to-back seasons. And after the second season, to me, I was disgusted because if there's any game that is fixed, it's the NBA. I remember watching that ref. Here comes Shaq barreling down, charges into the guy. The ref's looking at it like this. And there goes Shaq, just watching Shaq dunk it afterwards. And I'm like, this is fixed. They had I can't remember, but it was a big lead both years. And I'm like, this is fixed. And then they never punished the Lakers for tampering. And it was like the worst kept secret when they were pursuing Shaq from Orlando. They tampered. It was like the worst kept secret. But that said, I stopped watching. I am going to start watching this year because of Victor Wembanyama. And trust me, I'm a Garnett fan. I'm a Durant fan. I'm a fan of those who go against both grains, meaning they will sit there and defend their turf, and they are who they are. And, politically, people think you have similar values or you think certain ways. Hey, we're alike politically. And I love the Durants and Garnett of the world where they say their own thing. But I'm digressing again. But I plan on watching NBA basketball this year because I do want to see that 7'6",
7'4",
7'4" Wembanyama play. Because to see somebody that big, the be as nimble as we think he can be, this guy we could be saying in 12 years the greatest player in the league if that talent comes true.
No, he's a generational talent, transcendent player without a doubt. I mean, this guy has a skill set that not many have seen at that height. So I think we're seeing somebody who's going to be an all timer if he stays healthy and puts on a few more pounds.
Yeah, that's a big key there. A few more pounds.
Yep. So as far as because you asked me the question earlier, like who do I think are going to be the final four? Okay.
Right.
What's interesting. So I'm going to tell you, I think we don't know how the brackets are going to fill out because, the playoff brackets kind of, they have certain seedings based on where people are placed. I'm just giving you teams that I think are going to be in the top four. It may not happen because it's just the way the brackets work out, but these are the top four. I think in the Eastern.
Hey, do it as Latino, man. Grab it and own it. Look at you, Hemming and Hawing. Own it.
Yeah, I'm doing
top four.
So my top four in the East, I have Boston Celtics, Milwaukee Bucks. I think they're a head above the rest in the conference, and I think it's Boston's to lose in my opinion. And then I have Denver, and it hurts me to say this, but the Los Angeles Lakers I think are going to be there again. But at this time, I think they're going to be in the conference finals. Well, it was the conference finals last year, so I think it's going to be a repeat of the conference finals of a year ago, where the Lakers, as a play-in team, played against the Denver Nuggets, and the Denver Nuggets swept them. But the games were competitive, and I think the Lakers now are a deeper team, and they think they're going to challenge them. So it pains me because I really want to say the Golden State Warriors, but the Lakers, in my opinion, are a bad matchup for the Warriors. I think the Denver Nuggets.
Eddie.
Was that?
The Lakers took the Warriors out last year.
Yeah, they did.
Now, so you're saying in your mind that's going to happen again this year? So
just because they're a deeper team. They're a deeper team.
I get that, but the point is what is becoming of the Warriors? Has their peak ended, and now they're battling it out to win maybe one more before that team gets broken up, or Curry gets a little too old, or what? What are you saying?
I'm just saying. I mean, they are on the older side of things, right? They're on the wrong side of 30, honestly. But Stephen Curry is a specimen. He's 35 years old. I've heard from beat reporters out here, he's in the best shape of his career, and that's unbelievable to believe that because he's already in great shape. He's probably the best shape NBA player in the entire NBA. And to say that he's in a better shape this year at 35 is incredible. And I've heard through beat reporters that his shooting capabilities are even better this year. So if you have that already, you have the key for the Warriors is Klay Thompson. If Klay Thompson can come back pre-injury Klay Thompson, then this team is going to compete. But if Klay is going to be chucking up shots and at a very low efficiency rate, and Chris Paul manages the second team and is able to get that team going, I think Klay Thompson is a big key for that success. So Draymond Green also, they're on the wrong side of 30, right? They're an older team. Chris Paul makes them even older at 38, right? But the thing is, you have a Jonathan Kuminga who has emerged this year, and I think this guy. Yeah, he's emerging for sure. He's going to be a player to watch early this season. I think he's somebody I'm going to point out in the daily fantasy pools as well. But anyway, so to answer your question, a lot of things have to align for the Warriors to be in the top two, in my opinion. Are they capable of doing it? Absolutely. They won that championship a couple of years ago and no one even gave them a shot. So I think they have it in them. They have championship pedigree. And I think that, if everything falls in line and no major injuries happen to these older players, I think they will compete against the Lakers. But in my opinion, I think the Lakers are a deeper team. And if they stay healthy, I think they're going to compete against Denver for to go to the NBA Finals.
No, I get that. To bottom line, what you're saying though is they are on the downward trend because
for sure. But they're still at the near end of the peak, right? They're starting all the way down, but can they win? I mean, they were on the downward trend 2 years ago, right? But
right,
they won
exactly. So we're probably looking at it at the third year now. My final question for the before we move on to the next segment is. And I've asked you this before. Let's say James Harden does come on board from the perspective, okay, I'm not going to be an a-hole, a bleep hole. I'm going to be a team player. I want a championship. I'm not getting any younger in terms of sticking with the Phillies. So let's say you have
Phillies.
a happy
the Sixers.
Phillies,
yeah.
The Sixers, yeah. How does that affect your perspective in terms of the Sixers. Are they still a distant, or can they? I mean, NBA is like the NFL any given Sunday in the playoffs, but it sounds like what you're saying. There's just too big of a gap there with Milwaukee and Boston from the rest of the league. And based off our talks, the next closest is Philly. So I'm saying in a perfect scenario, can they close the gap with the James Harden that actually is playing for a ring and being a good teammate?
Yeah, I have my number 3 with James Harden playing for a ring and having his attitude all together. So that's what I have. So that's with James Harden on the squad, playing
No, I'm
as a
saying,
team player.
do you put them at the same tier as the first two, though?
No,
Okay, gotcha.
no, that's why I'm putting my number 3. I mean, the top 2 are ahead above everybody else. So, and then the eventual champion, I think it's going to come down to Denver versus Boston, and I think Boston's going to win in 6. That's my call.
They better get some shooting. I remember that from last year.
Jason Tatum can shoot. Peyton Pritchard can shoot.
But they went dry that series. Wasn't that the series they just?
It happens. It happens in any. I mean, that's why a lot of Charles Barkley always said a jump shooting team isn't going to win an NBA championship, and lo and behold, it has happened. Just because the playoffs are different, it's different, right? The teams they get to know each other very well. There's tired legs. Defense is tougher. There's only like a very short bench, 8 players that come in play typically. So jump shooting teams typically haven't won in the past because of that. But the players are better conditioned now than they were back in the past. So a jump shooting team with some inside presence can win a championship, a la the Warriors have done it for the last 9 years.
Okay, my friends, let's get to the good stuff before we close it out. Eddie's given us his takes on the conference, on who's his favorites are, and who's going to win it. Actually, we got a couple segments that's here. So, any comments on opening night? What are your thoughts with opening night? And then feel free to segue into the daily fantasy picks from there. But what are you looking for from an NBA fan's perspective or analyst perspective as well, versus getting into the gambling mentality?
So I'll tell you, the NBA did it right with picking the opening night with these 4 teams, because this is a very intriguing matchup. The first one being the Lakers versus the Nuggets. It's a rematch of last year's conference finals. I think the Lakers learned a lot from that matchup. They learned they need to be deeper, and that's what they did. They went out and got some they upgraded their bench. And like I said in an earlier podcast, they run 11 people deep on that team. And I think that's going to benefit them in the regular season to be able to rest their superstar players like LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and then, you have D'Angelo Russell. I wouldn't call him a superstar, but he's playing like really, really well. He played really well in this preseason. So, I think the complement of players that they have added, I think is going to help, load manage that team, the veterans moving forward. But of course, it's going to be interesting to see how, these teams who load manage, how they're going to navigate the new rule about load management, because it's pretty severe. The NBA is actually cracking down on load management this year, where they're fining people pretty hefty fines if they are repeat offenders.
Explain to the audience exactly what for those who don't know or still learning about the NBA.
Yeah, so let me just get to my notes here on that, because it is pretty complicated. So the way that what's happened is that a lot of these fans have been paying a lot of money for their tickets, and they want to go see some of the superstar players, right? And a lot of these superstar players, I mean, there are some teams that are repeat offenders on this. And I'm gonna call out the Clippers on this, because they're the ones I think that have taken advantage of the load management the most, because of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. But what's happened is a lot of these families who pay a lot of money for these tickets are just getting upset that the players that their kids want to come out and see are being benched because they're load managing them. And, this is something that's a new thing, this new trend of load management, that, the analytics have shown that, people who rest longer actually last longer. But, people in the 80s and 90s, they didn't load manage. And you have Hall of Fame players that played, 35, 40 minutes a game. So, those old school players say BS on load management. But anyway, I digress. So what the NBA has done is they are actually making a stipulation that any star player, and a star player is somebody that's defined by either All NBA or All Star within the last 3 years. There are about 49 of these players in the NBA, and only about 15 have more than 1 star. But what they're doing is that a team who violates this load management will get $100,000 fine, okay, for the first offense. The second violation is going to be $250,000. And for each subsequent, for the third violation is going to be $1.25 million. And then each subsequent after that is going to be $1 million added to the previous fine. So it starts stacking up. So it's definitely making teams think twice about load management.
I get that. So, Eddie, from what I'm hearing, because I know you're going to correct me, is that the fans paying a lot of money, they want to see the superstars play. And what's happening is teams are resting their players because it's a long season.
Right.
So this is a situation in which business has taken over the common sense management of a basketball team, is what I'm hearing. I mean, because it's smarter. If you have the talent, the depth, and you're playing a team you think you're pretty sure you can beat without your star player, why not rest him? If that makes, I get the fans. Tickets are expensive, but
right.
You usually know ahead of time if a player is going to play or not, right?
Yeah, but the fans stop coming to the game, then advertisers start losing money, and the NBA starts losing money. So money wins out here, and I think that they're sending a message. Look, we understand if a player's injured, sit them. We get it. But if they're not injured, they're expected to play. Yeah, if they're injured, I was
wondering how they were going to do.
No, if they're legitimately injured, they're injured, right? But if they're not legitimately injured, they should be at least in on the bench with the players and not, at least be present for the fans to see, so that in case they want to take pictures with these people, right?
No, I get that.
Yeah.
I guess my comment from that same PR perspective is, the league wants the Lakers to upset Denver. They know Denver's going to be around. It has nothing to do with who they want to see win it all, but they want the Lakers to upset Denver. First of all, Denver's a small market team, and they have their rabid fan base. But Los Angeles is one of the meccas when people think of the NBA and the Lakers and Showtime, the merchandise sales, getting more people to tune in. And it gets me thinking of what you said. This is the start of them saying, we're back, and we're better than what the world knows is the best team over the last 10 years in Golden State. So that's who they want to win, are the Lakers. That's a smart business want to have. But yeah, I get that with the load playing. That's fascinating, actually. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, no problem. So just getting back to it. So the Lakers versus Nuggets, the first game, I think the Lakers, their depth, I think, is going to show up in that game. They're pretty motivated to beat this team, and I think I'm predicting the Lakers are going to upset the Nuggets in tomorrow night in Game 1. And my call is 110 to 107. So that's my call for tomorrow. In the second game, we have the Suns versus the Warriors. Believe it or not, this is the first time that Kevin Durant is going to play in front of the Golden State crowd since they won their last NBA championship in 2019. Yeah, because he actually did come play out one time, but it was during the COVID time in an empty arena, right? Yeah. So he did come out and play. But this is going to be the first time he's going to be in front of a crowd that he's going to, and I'm hoping that the crowd is going to give him a standing ovation because he deserves it. I know he got ran out of town because of the whole Draymond issue, this and that. But Draymond is he's a temperamental guy, and he's the junkyard dog in the team. He definitely asserts himself, and they're friends now. But I think that the fan base understands that of the 4 championships, Kevin Durant by himself got us 2. I would say by himself, but was a big contributor. He was an MVP in those 2 championships, so he's going to get a resounding. I'm hoping a resounding standing ovation tomorrow night. When they announce it.
You are the optimistic.
I am.
I think he's going to get a big applause.
I'll bet you on that. Let's bet on that. Record it. I will bet you a dinner on that. I will bet you he will get a resounding, and it's not going to be no Happy Meal kind of dinner. Okay, we're talking about a legit dinner, Guillermo. Maybe no. I'll give you pupusa. Maybe you buy me pupusas from El Salvador, right?
Pupusa, man.
Salvadoran pupusas, man.
Yeah, right. Americans hear pupusa, and they're thinking 10 zillion other thoughts.
Look it up, pupusas, man. Exactly. They're legit food, man, from El Salvador. Anyway, so in that game, this is going to be an intriguing matchup because it's kind of like the new Warriors against the old Warriors because you have Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant. And the Warriors won their 2 of their 4 championships with Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Stephen Curry, which is essentially what this team is trying to mimic, in my opinion. That same 3 sharpshooters that can, shoot from range and spread out the floor so that the team is hard to guard. This is going to be intriguing because now this is the new school versus the old school. And the old school has, up and coming players. They have a very deep team. Their starting 5 actually is the highest net rated starting 5 of the entire NBA. And this is even when Andrew Wiggins last year missed 2 months of play. And then you have Jordan Poole getting punched by Draymond Green. So there was a lot of adversity that this team had to overcome last year, and yet they still made it to the conference semifinals and were ousted by the Lakers in 6 games. They are still a legit team. They are a team that they have a lot of pride. They know how to get it done. And I think that they are going to they're going to beat the Suns tomorrow. But I think it's going to be a very close game. I'm calling it 108 to 107 Warriors tomorrow night.
All righty. Wow. And you've been doing nothing but talking up the Suns.
Yeah. But hey, it's game 1, man. I mean, there's going to be a lot of emotion, and they're going to be on the road in the first 7 out of 9 games. I think the Warriors are, and they have to prove that they can win on the road because last year they were a horrific road team. And I think this, even though they're not on the road this year against the Suns, they want to go ahead and start off on a good foot because they're going to be playing a lot of road games coming up.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah. So is that it for opening night?
That's it for opening night. I mean, the thing is, because our podcast is only once a week right now, for next week, we're going to review some of the games that have already happened and then talk about the upcoming games. But, there are more games coming up. We won't have enough time to cover all the games that are coming up. We'll have more time to cover games that have already happened, right? So that's why I'm only covering the game, first game on Tuesday, since, tomorrow our podcast is going to show up on the game day. So that's the reason why we're doing it.
So I'm going to enjoy it because I'm getting back into it too, in the sense of having somebody educate me in a way where I'm actually learning, as well as I love bringing the business side of it into this, because basketball is so fascinating. There's a great book out there, a business book called "If You Can Sell Ice to the Eskimos," or selling ice to the Eskimos, something like that. Dude, the guy was the vice president of the Nets. We don't have time, but another episode. It's a book that everybody should read on the business. And I'll never forget the one line in there. It goes something like, "Do you know how hard it is for an individual to spend $5 or $10 million a year?" And he was like, "How many cars, houses,
right,
entourage?" Right. They can do it. So it's just an interesting concept. Anyway, Eddie, I think that closes it out. You have the daily fantasy picks. Actually,
we have the daily. Daily fantasy. So I'm a big daily fantasy player, but the thing is, there are so many different sites that do it, and I picked one just because I wanted to kind of understand the flow of how that site works. Yeah. I tried other ones. I just decided to pick one and go with it. I'm plugging FanDuel here, but that's the one I chose. I tried the other ones. I think FanDuel is the most intuitive. Their app is very, very good. And I just think, by the way, Guillermo, I don't know if you know this, but I actually had the idea of FanDuel and actually launched a site back in 2004 called Fantasy Sports Game Master. And my intent was to do the exact same thing FanDuel is doing, and I promoted a little bit at the Fantasy Sport Trades Association, but my whole thing was you pick a lineup for football, right? And there's only football at the time, and you pick any guy you want, no salary cap. You just pick anybody you want, and your goal is, of course, get the highest point total. But if you're able to get the most optimum lineup, you win $1 million. Oh. So that was what I created as an idea. And FanDuel came up similar idea, but they would have beat me. They would have taken me out anyway eventually. But I came up with this idea back then as well. So anyway, the way daily fantasy works is that you have a lineup, you have a salary cap of $60,000, and then you have to fill up that lineup without going over $60,000. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this down. I'm not going to give you a lineup, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the highest value, high priced guys. Okay. And these are the guys that have the most points per dollar potential. All right. So out of the highest value price players, and these are guys that are like $11,500 to $10,000 range. And
These
these
are
guys,
hidden gems. They're hidden
these are
gems.
no, these are not hidden gems. These are the guys. These are
It's
the
like
main
getting
guys
something
that
on
carry the team.
sale.
These are the guys that carry a team. These are the most expensive guys that you're going to spend money on.
But you're going to get the biggest bang for them.
Potential bang for your buck, right?
Yeah.
So in order, I have it. Nikola Jokic is number one.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay, he's the guy that I think is the most valuable. The whole offense runs for this guy, so he's definitely number one to pick. If you're gonna spend the money on one of these high priced guys, he's the guy to target. Anthony Davis is number two, and then I would say Stephen Curry, and then LeBron James in that order. That's how you choose them, right? And I went from the most expensive to the least expensive. Okay,
right.
So
you're talking the elite of the elite here.
The elite of the elite, but there's no way you can get a good lineup and put like all four of these. There's no way you can do it because you're not going to be able to fill out a lineup.
Right.
You can't do it.
That's what I was going to ask you is my favorite part of fantasy, anything DFS, even though I don't play DFS, the concept's similar, is finding the value player.
And that's where I'm going there.
You're going to get the most talent.
I am getting there. I'm going by tiers right now. Okay. Right, so I went to the highest priced players. Now I'm going to the next value, the highest value between $9,900 and $6,800. So I'm tiering these. And in that category, in number one, I would say is Devin Booker. Devin Booker is probably the number one guy to target in that price range. And then number two, I would say Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal is somewhere probably around $8,800 if I remember correctly. Devin Booker is like $9,400 in that range. Chris Paul is number three. I think he has a lot to prove. I think he's motivated to go against his old team, the Phoenix Suns. So I think that's why he's priced at $8,000. And I think that's a good value pick because he's going to get a lot of minutes and he might start more than likely tomorrow because Draymond Green has already been ruled out. All right. So those are the first two tiers. The third tier, and I only have one other tier after this. The highest value between 6.7K and 5.1K. I have, and the highest right now is Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is roughly about $6,500 for him. And I'm just going by memory. I didn't write down the numbers. I'm just kind of going by memory. Michael Porter right now, I think he's right around $6,000. Aaron Gordon, another Denver Nugget, he's around $5,700. Kevon Looney for the Golden State Warriors, he's $5,400. And then the biggest steal, in my opinion, is D'Angelo Russell. $6,200 for that. I mean, this guy could put up some points on a pretty high-powered team, and he's playing very, very well. So I would put him as a very, very high value in that category. And then the last, these are the nuggets that you're talking about, Guillermo. Yeah. These are the hidden gems.
These are the long shot ones.
These are the long shots, all right? These are the guys that, the winning fantasy lineup that wins a lot of money is more than likely going to have one of these or two of these players in their lineup. And the first one I have is Dario Saric. Dario Saric is going to get minutes on the Warriors, and he's playing very, very well for the Warriors, and he's only priced at $3,700. So he's someone that would be a good person to put in if you're trying to put two of those high value guys like a Nikola Jokic and Anthony Davis on the same team at the same time. Another hidden gem is Jonathan Kuminga. As I mentioned already, this guy had a great preseason. This guy looked really good. Like he's taken a step, like he's rounded the corner and he's turned the corner and he's out to show something that he is the man that he should be. He was drafted at the 7th position and all of the guys that were drafted in front of him are starting for other teams. He's the only guy that really was put on a really, really good team and had to earn his minutes. But I think right now he is showing that he has turned the corner and is showing his talent. And I think he's taken the coaching now and is not pouting like he did last year. So Jonathan Kuminga is number two. I think he's roughly about $4,200 if I remember correctly in that range. And then Josh Okogie for the Phoenix Suns is another one. He's roughly about $4,000. And then Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is another one. And he's roughly about $4,300. So those are the guys. I'm not going to tell you how to put your lineup because I don't want you to steal my thunder because that's the whole challenge is kind of puzzle this thing together to come up with a lineup that actually works. So these are my DFS plays for the week. And good luck in gambling this week for these players. And happy and safe gambling, all right? So just I'm not promoting gambling, right? I'm not promoting gambling. I'm just saying if you do it, just be safe about it.
Exactly. And there you have it, my friends. Our NBA preview with Mr. Eddie Aparicio. Eddie, any more words of wisdom before we let the audience go?
Guillermo, you're going to owe me a pupusa dinner, man. That's all I got to say. All right.
And with that, Eddie's truly living in fantasy land. Okay.
All right,
So,
Guillermo.
so everybody, thank you for listening. Don't forget, check us out at sportsgrumblings.com, where you will find our other podcasts, Fired Up, Free for All, Big Questions with Big John. You can see us on your favorite platforms, YouTube or Rumble. Make sure you check out the grumblingsmedia.com moniker. And Apple, Google, Spotify, and Pandora for those who just want to hear us and not see us. Eddie, thank you for coming on. Everybody else, do not forget to share this after you see it. And until next time, we will see you on Points on the Board.
See ya. Peace out, everyone.
Hey everybody, this is Big John from Grumblings Media, and I just want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our efforts here at Grumblings Media, just smash the subscribe button right here, totally free, or just go ahead and consume more of our great content. Click either one of these two boxes.